What's up, everybody? Welcome to NWA. In today's episode, me and Leanne are talking all about hustle culture. What is hustle culture? How can we bring it into our lives? How does it affect our lives? Specifically, as a nurse, how does it affect our routine? Can we just go to work and then come back home and live our lives? And we dive deep into the politics around it. And we think you guys are going to love this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Hey.
Hey, Joe, what's up?
Nothing much, just chilling. Excited about today's topic.
I know, hustle culture.
Boom, boom, boom. That's it.
I wanted to talk about something this week that, maybe wasn't so nursing heavy. I know that last week we talked about COVID-19 and we really went into the whole nursing side of things, but I really want to talk about something today that's something we can definitely see within the nursing community, but then also that, regular folk can really just relate to as well.
Yes, 100%. Hustle culture is something that is like ingrained for me, at least, in all aspects of my life, not just nursing. And it does show up in the nursing culture for sure.
Yeah.
But it also just, when you wake up in the morning, I feel like from the time you wake up, I don't know if you're like this, Leanne, as soon as I wake up sometimes, I have to do something. This morning, I woke up and I had to organize my bookshelf like right away. Like I woke up and like I need to organize my bookshelf. And I literally woke up and organized my bookshelf.
Right. It's like you wake up and if you're not doing something productive or like useful, then your day is wasted. I don't know if you feel this way, but this is how I feel. Like I'm just like you. I wake up and I'm organizing a house or something totally random. I'm pulling weeds out of the garden at like 8 a.m.
Right? And like Jerry next door is just waking up and you're already like doing all these things.
I
Like tell
know.
me what happens when you do that? So let's say you start your day and you rush into it right away and you do all these little tasks and you get a lot of things done, but then by like 4, 5 o'clock or even 9 o'clock at night when you're about to go to bed, do you ever feel like what a day wasted? Like you feel like you didn't get anything done?
I don't think that I ever feel like I wasted my time. On the other end of that, I definitely feel like if I'm not doing anything, like if I take a day just to sit in bed and watch Netflix or YouTube or whatever the case is, then I definitely feel like I've wasted precious time. And this totally feeds into the whole hustle culture. But um, in terms of when I get up and I'm like doing my morning routine and I've had a busy day and I want to go for a walk, I do my walk, I pull the weeds, I do the whole shebang. I feel like I start to crash at like 5 p.m. Like I've pushed myself too hard.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Okay, yeah.
like I go, 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 and then I crash hard.
Boom, and then you're not able to rest. Like is it just kind of like you're crashed and you're not resting at that point, or is it kind of like you crash and you're able to kind of shut down and rest?
Um, I'm always someone that can typically sleep anywhere. Like, listen, I'm a good sleeper. I can sleep like 12 hours a night. But no, I feel like once I start to crash, in that moment, I can't relax right away. But um, I feel like I can't um, do anything else for the rest of the night. Like, I've literally used up all of my energy,
Hmm.
and I'm just vegging. Like I just sit there and veg.
You're like work paralyzed. Like if it has anything to do with work, other than like picking up chips to eat, like you're done. You just can't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like
See, I
I
I kind of have, I don't know, like between Jalen and I, like we're both, and I think you even saw this in nursing school. Like I love grinding and I love like getting stuff done, but I've made this like huge switch of like defining what hustle culture means. I find a lot of people um relate hustle culture to like you have to be doing something and like getting it. And now I kind of see hustle culture in all these different aspects of my life, and one of those aspects being rest. Like when I rest, I'm hustling, and like I'm hustling to rest. And
yeah.
especially as a nurse, I've learned to put that in my schedule actively to ensure that I don't burn out, because if I don't hustle to rest, I can't hustle on other parts of my life. Like I can't hustle to, like, for example, make dinner, or hustle to clean my house, or hustle to take care of my cats, or hustle to walk the dog, hustle to wash to wash whatever, right?
Mhm.
Um, so whenever I hustle to rest, I can really incorporate that hustle culture in every other aspect of my life without getting caught up on one end of the spectrum, which is just hustling on doing stuff, which why I think people often feel like they hustle all day and then at night they're just like, I cannot do anything else at all, is because they're only hustling on one side of the spectrum. And it's not
Right.
about like eliminating that. Like I think hustle culture is healthy to an extent, but you have to have it on all your aspects on an equal level of
Yeah.
hustle.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think that, you know, a lot of, in my own personal opinion, society, this hustle culture vibe that we have, with social media and, some people work a 9 to 5, but then, that's not enough to sustain your income. So you have side hustles. This is,
Yeah.
people don't put a lot of emphasis on hustling to rest, like you say. And I'm really trying to incorporate more rest, but I still find it so difficult, Joe. Like you said in the last episode, I'm a very systematic person. So, I don't leave anything to the last minute. I want to do my groceries at a certain time of day. Like I just kind of like a routine. Now, I am very spontaneous. So, if there's any change in my routine, I'm not bothered by that. But I don't ever schedule time for rest. It's like I wake up, I do my morning routine. I have to have a smoothie and then I have breakfast and then I want to go for a walk at lunch. And then I'm out, doing my 9 to 5 work and whatever. And then after work, we're painting our home. So I want to paint the home. I want to move this carpet and, go and buy patio stones or, just random shit. But I never take time to really rest. And this is something that Ben has reminded me of from time to time. He's like, babe, just relax. Like, we don't have to do everything in a day. Rome wasn't built in a
Yeah.
day.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. And one thing I really wanted to mention in this episode with hustle culture is that, I think that a lot of this hustle culture comes from Gen Z, where a lot of their work is online and social media, and they've found other avenues of income compared to us millennials. Joe, are you a millennial?
You know what? I am a millennial.
Okay. You're like
I
right at the
I
cusp, though,
actually
eh?
I'm like at the cusp, and I was born in 1996, and it was always like, am I Gen Z? Am I millennial? But I went to the museum in Ottawa, and in Ottawa it said the last year of millennials is 1996. So I'm just gonna hang on it because I really don't want to be Gen Z for some reason. So I'm millennial. Jelena always calls me Gen Z, and it's this like ongoing joke, but I'm proudly millennial over here.
Okay. So millennial. Now, I find that us as millennials, we work traditional jobs. We do nursing, we do 9 to 5, we do, typical blue collar jobs. That's sort of what we were raised on and how society was growing up. We had internet explosion when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old. So me growing up, I grew up in, playing in the dirt. I didn't have an
Yeah.
iPad or all this technology, but I think what Gen Zs do well at is finding other avenues of income. But I also feel on the flip side of that, that it puts extra pressure on people like myself or, just general millennials. Like, Joe, I'm in school. Okay. We're in nursing school. We're getting our RN. I work full time, also in school, also doing a podcast, you know, like
Also,
when
just
is
moved
too
into your
much?
house. You just
Right.
bought a house too. Like you're painting your walls.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just, it's never enough. I feel like I always want to be doing something new, trying something new. Um, yeah, I have casual employment elsewhere. I I feel the need to always hustle or have a side hustle or some sort of hustle, and I just don't know where this idea comes from. Why do we feel this way? Do you feel this way?
Yeah, yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, let's pause right there with, like, that whole image of what you had just said, and is that sustainable? Like, long run wise, is it sustainable? And this isn't, like, a loaded question, like, I'm just asking, like, do you actually think it's a sustainable thing? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to that as well, because I know I for sure can.
Yeah.
Is it a sustainable thing to be living our lives? Like, is that healthy to have to have that? Like, to always be wanting to do something, you know?
Obviously not, because the more you take on, the more stress you have, in my opinion. And, obviously I've given up other things to do other things. So, now instead of going to the gym every day, which I don't have time for, I could make time, but that's one more thing. It takes away from my schooling. It takes away from my podcasting. It takes away from time with loved ones in the evening. But where's my priority? It
Yeah.
should be a priority because it's my health.
For sure. That's why I
Yeah.
think it's important not to like I'm actually really, really divided on this because I think it's healthy. Like if you think about it, we need stress on our bodies to like live. Our heart needs stress. It needs the pressure to pump the blood to the rest of our body. And I think it's the same like psychological wise. Like if I spend a day vegging and doing nothing and you talk to me, I like it will be the worst conversation of our lives. Like I will be slurring my words. I'll be like forgetting words and being like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, this word's on the edge of my tongue." But if I work all day, like we do this podcast at the end of the day, and I'm usually primed because I've been doing work all day and I've been, reading, and my brain has just been constantly like primed.
Hmm.
So in terms of like having multiple things, I personally don't think it's a bad thing to have multiple things on the go. That said, I think it's categorizing them as in like I have work here and like this work is going to be my work block. And then if you want a side hustle, that's fine, but just not having multiple categories of work, right? Like for
Right.
example, like you're saying, it sounds like for you right now, you have a lot of things that can be classified as work. So you have your full-time job, you have your RN school, you have your side gig, and then you have like podcasts, which is a mix between a hobby and I guess let's just throw that for hobbies for now. But those are
Hmm.
like three things that are taking up your work, which is then taking up your gym time on top of the podcast. And then you have painting your house and moving into a house and a new, like this whole transition for life. And I think that you just have too many work categories compared to like other categories. Like there's not an even balance, kind of like what we spoke about at the beginning of the episode,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But that said, like I'm just a person, I'm kind of like trying to like build the puzzle right in front of my hands are literally in the air right now and I'm like organizing your work schedule with my
Right.
hands. But
Right.
yeah,
And I don't think there's a right way to do things because everyone's life and day to day looks so different in terms of what they want to achieve and their career goals and their personal goals. And, you know, um, one thing, Joe, that I really wanted to put emphasis on when Ben and I relocated to Alberta is, we really want to work to live. We don't want to live to work.
yes,
And
so good.
this is something that I'm really trying to implement in day to day life. We actually have some really close friends of ours, and they own a farm. And, while they still work a regular, like whatever, 7 to 7 or 7 to 3 job, their life revolves around this farm. And, they basically work a whatever job just to be able to have the life that they want on the side. And that's, I tell them this all the time, but I really looked up to them for that because I think it takes a strong person to be like, yeah, I mean, like I enjoy my job 9 to 5, whatever, but I do it because I want this lifestyle. And I just really look up to them for going after that kind of lifestyle. Like they wanted to be in Alberta, run a farm, they have animals, and they really chase that, and they're living that dream now. So,
That's super cool. That actually makes me a question pops in mind with that. I was actually talking with Jelena about this yesterday, and you know the saying, you need to love your job. Like I don't think that's the exact same, but the saying is do what you love and you'll never, yeah, that's the saying. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. But what
Hmm.
you're saying is they have their normal 9 to 5s and it's not necessarily their passion, it's not their love, but enables them to do their passion and do their love.
Yes. This is what I had mentioned in, the first episode, I think perhaps the second, where I said, I am more than just my 9 to 5. This is, we do nursing because we love it and, we care so much, but you're also someone else outside your 9 to 5 and you get to
Yeah.
choose that life. So when it comes to hustle culture, you really have to prioritize what you're hustling at and, know your goals and, try to, I guess, prioritize rest too. As just keep reminding myself of this.
Rest, rest, rest.
Right.
That's the important thing for nurses as well. And I'm not saying that you can't love your job as a nurse. I love my job as a nurse. Absolutely love it. That said, I don't think that it would necessarily, it's really hard because I love my job because I can love and care for people. That said, I know it's so taxing on my body that when I come home, I need to have my own thing. Like I love going to the gym. I love doing mixed martial arts. I love doing this podcast with Leanne. I love playing ball hockey,
Yeah.
basketball. I love those things, and I couldn't make nursing revolve around my whole entire life because I would burn out. And I can assure you that many other nurses are on that same page. Um, and that's why like it's really important to, there's some jobs that you can work and your work can be your job. Those influencers on Instagram, people who do like online businesses, usually their whole life is their work. And I'm sure it's like equally as hard as well, but that's kind of their whole entire job with nursing. And like anyone can correct me if they think I'm wrong. I don't think that we can have that lifestyle as nurses, to be honest. I think you just burn yourself out.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that, um, to an extent though, Joe, because I feel like a lot of us bring home a lot of the emotion that we feel between our shift. So if I work 7 to 3 and there's 3 deaths on the floor, whatever the case is, I bring that heaviness home with me. And it's really tough as a nurse to leave work at work,
Yeah,
especially when you care and have empathy for people. It's really tough when you feel sad for these families
yeah,
or even excitement, any feeling, Um, that's something that I really strive for was, the second I change out of my scrubs, I'm leaving everything at the door. And now I am not 100% great at this. But when I was working on the floor, I really tried to leave work at work. And there were days, of course, where I would come home and I'd be pissed off, or, a family member screamed at me, or whatever the case was. Some days I had a resident come up to me and just thank me, and it made me so happy, and I think it's really important that we leave that emotion at the door the best we can, just like we do when we walk into our patients. We have to leave our home emotions and whatever the hell's going on at home. You leave it at home. You don't bring that to the workplace. We also need to leave the workplace at the workplace.
yeah, 100, yeah, like you're so right. And how do we do that among this whole hustle culture thing that we live in? Whenever it says we always have to be hustling, and it might be a good thing that whenever you do go home, you have a side hustle, because that might be a way as nurses to get your mind off of, a little bit of like distraction from all those things that you mentioned.
Yeah, I agree. Like for me, this podcast is, like we said, kind of therapy for us. It's not it's for fun, like you say, it's in the hobby category. And it helps me, just kind of forget about the day. And, I had a little bit of a stressful day today at work, and you know, it's out of my mind now, and we're moving on, and tomorrow will be a better day. And that's just kind of the mindset that I try to bring into every day. But I definitely get fiery and I get pissed off, and yeah, sometimes sometimes it ruins my day.
And that's 100% okay though. I feel
Yeah,
like there's among this hustle culture, kind of an umbrella around it is like toxic positivity, meaning like you have to hustle, you have to be okay with everything. And like for anyone going through nursing school, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be like frustrated. Even people in nursing or just general people listening, it's okay to be upset. Like you're allowed, like we fluctuate so much like during our days. And
yeah,
once I got okay with this was actually this huge moment in my life, Leanne. I got a parking ticket. I think it was like last year, and I did not agree with it, and I was very, very upset, and it ruined my whole entire day. I was super upset over this parking ticket. And then I went to work, and someone had passed away who was really, really like really close to me, right? And I was
yeah,
I was working, and I was upset about the parking ticket, and then she passed away. I let that little like of course when you get a parking ticket you're gonna be upset. And that's what I'm saying, it's okay. I wasn't okay with being upset about the parking ticket and I let it bug me all day and I couldn't let it flow through me. So it actually affected me and took like some time that I could have been with my residents. It took
yeah,
away from that because I was so upset over a parking ticket rather than just being upset for the 5 or 10 minutes that I should have been upset for
yeah.
and then being able to move on and then going back and then being able to spend more time with this person, and that's when it becomes like life or death. And that's the thing with nursing is that especially if you work on like a palliative care unit or long-term care, you really learn to um take the day for like what it is and enjoy the small things, enjoy the little things, enjoy planting the flowers, with your residents, doing word searches with them, doing puzzles, whatever it is that you do on your unit. Um, and yeah, like that just it really opened my eyes to like what really matters in life.
Yeah, I definitely think you're onto something here, Joe. I think that you know, being personally aware is really important. And I think it takes skill and time to be able to acknowledge and say, like, wow, that really pissed me off. Why was I so upset? Why do I feel this way? Why am I putting out this negative energy? Let's just digest it and move on. But like I said, that takes a lot of practice and skill to be able to recognize that, especially when you're in the moment of that feeling. So when you were
Yeah,
in that moment with your parking ticket, you're so pissed off you don't care. You can't even, recognize the fact that, you've maybe missed out on a couple moments with this resident that was at end of life or whatever. But now looking back, you've done your self-reflection and you've realized, but moving forward, if you do your self-reflection in the moment, you may be able to get past it sooner. You know what I'm trying to get at?
exactly. If you can calm yourself down in the moment and have self reflection practices,
Yeah.
as well as like going through life and then like self-reflecting and realizing maybe what you did last week wasn't, regardless of what the timeline is, as long as you self-reflect
Yeah.
you will grow. And I think like that's kind of what you were saying, right?
Yeah. And, Joe, I think I did this last week too when we were supposed to record on Wednesday. We usually record on Wednesday evenings. And, I texted Joe and I was basically just saying that, man, I'm pooped. I need the night to chill. I need to, relax. Like, here I am. We just bought a home. We're painting. I work full time. I'm trying to give to my partner to be present. We're doing a podcast. Like, it was just kind of a lot all at once. And, upon some self-reflection, I was like, something needs, let's just shift a day and see how I respond. And, honestly, Joe, if we recorded last Wednesday, the COVID podcast, I don't think I would have been in the right state of mind to be able to articulate well and sort of get my point across. So I'm really happy that you were flexible enough to, be able to push it back a day. And that's all I needed was just the one night to relax and just decompress, you know?
And I'm happy that you're at the point that you're able like to, because some people really struggle with saying, "Hey, Leanne, just not feeling it tonight." Like some people will just, try to do it, and that's such a huge skill. You should really like be patting yourself on the back for, because that's something that like I struggle with. I know Jelena, she struggles with it big time. Always needing to be aware and like in the present, even if it means not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and this is something that goes along with the work to live part, I don't part of living is taking care of myself. And I have to do my 9 to 5 job. I don't have a choice. We have bills to pay and I enjoy the work, so that makes it easier, but outside of work, I still have to live. And, I am, a sister, an aunt. At the end of the day, I have all these other roles than just being a nurse. And I still have to be present in all of these roles. And if I don't put my self care first, I said at the beginning of the episode, I really struggle with resting. I do. It's hard for me to just sit down and do nothing. But I tend to reach a breaking point, Joe. Like, I don't think that I'm quite have grasped the concept of rest. When I texted you and said I need a break, it's because I was at the end, like I needed a break. I had pushed myself a bit too far. And I think moving forward, if I self-reflect more and, maybe just notify the other partner or team or whatever the case is a little sooner so that I'm not reaching that breaking point.
Yeah, that point that every like you're at rock bottom, and then you have to like really, really rest and like take a lot of time off. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then you know what? I when I first started nursing, that's what happened to me. Is that I worked like the first, we spoke about this in the other episode, but worked literally like all the time. I had no hobbies. I had nothing. It was literally working home, working home. And although the bank account was feeling really nice, after a year of doing that, I literally took what was it? I think it took like 4 months off work, and that drove me nuts because I'm also the same as you, Leanne. I always have to be doing something. But what it allowed me to do was I picked up a lot more hobbies and I got back into the things that I actually enjoyed. So it was so needed for me because now I can have a balance of I can work and I can have those hobbies to kind of like push me aside. And even sometimes if I'm at home, and I'm feeling overwhelmed about anything, I just go play some basketball. And within like an hour of playing some ball, I'm calm. I'm good. Or I'll go to the gym and I'll do some MMA and I'll punch a punching bag for like a good hour. And that's a
Yeah.
great stress. It's a great stress reliever, guys. If you want to get some stuff off your chest, just go punch something for an hour. It can be anything except for your ex's car because you will get charged.
Don't go punching people. Um, Now, Joe, I have a question. Do you think that because we are the kind of people that like to go, 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 that makes us better nurses? Or maybe not better nurses,
Oh,
but do you think that this is why we do what we do?
this is getting interesting. I think so, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound cocky because I feel like there's all kinds of people that are in nursing and everyone is unique. And it's not that like you have to have these attributes to be a great nurse. That said, I was actually thinking about this the other day too. If you're in a hospital and yeah, let's say you work in a hospital versus a long-term care home, hospital, the way that they're formatted, you have to be go, go, go.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be go, go, go. That said, if you don't have that type of personality and you work in like long-term care home, long-term care, it doesn't necessarily have to be go, go, go. So you can get nurses in long-term care that stuff doesn't get done or like orders get missed or things lag behind a bit because it's not that environment. But if you have a nurse who's like internally like, hey, go, 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 this is what I need to do, A, B, C, and D, then you can see those things getting done in a long-term care environment versus if I had a nurse who had the attitude of, just kind of like whatever, like I'm gonna do things as they come up, they would actually do better in a hospital environment because things come up a lot quicker and it's up in your face. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at here. Now, from personal experience, I'm the nurse that comes in long-term care and fixes all the shit that the other nurse didn't get done because I'm that person. I'm that go, go, go. Like, why weren't these orders processed? Why is this care plan
Yeah.
not updated? Why was this assessment not done? Like, what the hell's wrong with people? Where's your part, man? You know?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
And like you say, there's such a balance. Like, you do get those nurses in long term care that are just like, la, 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 like, you
7 to
know,
3 and they're gone. Like
pass
they
my
just
meds and I'm gone. And then you have these nurses like myself, not to toot my horn, but I'm like, why is this not done? You know?
yes.
And then,
Long-term care, in my opinion, is actually a lot more work than hospitals, but nurses won't say that. And if a nurse says that to you, I'm sorry, that nurse is probably just being lazy because there's so much stuff to do in long-term care. Like I've worked in hospitals as well, and in my opinion, I was always way more busy in my long-term care. I don't know if that's just me, but
yeah, I would agree. I think that the now I guess it depends on what unit you work on at the hospital, but from personal experience, from the rehab floor to a long-term care home, I feel the level of care is much heavier in long-term care. And in hospital, you have, I don't know, 4 to 6 patients, but you make your schedule. Someone comes around and passes the meal. Everyone is in their room. You don't have to get them up and bring them to a dining room. You don't have to get them up and bring them to choir. You don't have to get them up and bring them to the birthday celebration. They just
yeah,
stay in their bed, or family comes, or they go down to the lobby, or whatever the case is. I just think the day-to-day dynamic between long-term care and hospitals is it's different. But I think we should save this for another episode. This would be good to do
yeah,
like a comparison between the two for anyone who's interested in maybe dabbling in hospital or long-term care or even retirement.
yeah, for sure. I think that'd be a great episode.
We also need to arrange to get Joe or Jelena and Ben on.
Yes.
My family's like, we want to hear what Ben has to say.
Oh, Ben's probably so excited. He's like, I finally get the stuff off my chest. Joanna too.
I I don't think he has anything negative to say, but it would just be interesting to hear his perspective. And Ben's so
Oh,
intelligent in the way that he articulates, and he's such a calm mind, calm soul. And yeah, I'm really interested to hear what he has to say. But
I am too. So for everyone at home, when we were in nursing school, Ben was in auto mechanic school. Is that what it's called? Like to become an engineer?
no, so well, for auto mechanics, like car
For auto,
mechanic.
yeah,
But he had worked as a mechanic for years before. Just the schooling is really stupid here. But anyway, yeah, he was
it
in
is.
in college at the same time we were.
When we would explain concepts, I remember being at this, we were at Algonquin somewhere. They were explaining this concept, and he straight up like told us the concept, but he was using like the car as a human analogy. And it was like
Yeah.
the same exact thing. Do you remember that? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. He would be like, "Oh, the battery is the heart, and then, the electrical current are like your veins." And he would have these
Yeah.
analogies. This is what I mean. He's so intelligent. He has a different way of thinking. I'm just so stoked to have him on. I'm also excited for Jelena because I know that she has like an extensive um, social science background, and I know she's in university doing a master's right now. Correct?
She's in university doing 1 year masters and on to her PhD.
Yeah, yeah. So much knowledge. I just would love to have them on.
Oh, it's so cool.
Um, yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to hustle culture, Joe? Any final thoughts? I
I
think
think
I've touched on everything I wanted to say. 5 minutes down the road, I'll be like, oh, damn, I forgot to mention this. But, in the moment, I can't think of anything else I want to add. What about you?
I just think everyone, we all have different ways and different routines that we follow, and we need to be compassionate to ourselves and also realize that a lot of our experiences, um, a lot of our past experiences contribute to the way that we see this world. And sometimes those are helpful and sometimes they're not helpful. And that's what you were saying earlier, Leanne, is we need to be able to reflect on those and ensure that we're not doing something because we're shamed into doing it or we feel like we must do it. And that just like enjoy yourself, be compassionate, love yourself, add self-care into your daily routine. I tell myself like once a day, usually when I'm going to bed or even when I'm waking up, I'll say one thing that I'm gonna do to like care for myself today. And it's like a non-negotiable. So I'll wake up. Today I said I'm gonna go play basketball. So tonight I'm going, I don't, let me tell you something, Leanne. I don't want to even leave the house right now. But I said that's gonna be my self-compassion activities. I'm just gonna go out, so doing like setting little things like that, even writing on your calendar, like I'll do a face mask tonight or yoga, meditate, whatever thing is your thing,
Yeah.
and that super helps. Just not only if you're a nurse or a mechanic or whatever, but just for anyone trying to live their life, and if you feel like you're overwhelmed by this whole like you need to work and hustle culture, actively set those parameters for yourself where you're like, hey, I need to do this and I need to care for myself. And you're hustling still, but just in a different lens. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I think I do this unintentionally, Joe, where I'm like, oh, I have a busy day at work today, like I'm out doing some marketing or whatever the case is, and I'm like, I'm gonna treat myself to a Starbucks today,
Ooh,
something so small. Or, for myself, this is a note to myself. I'm putting it out there that I need to rest more. I need to learn to rest.
rest is so vital, but it's hard because you honestly can't just sit down and be like, okay, snap your fingers and then rest. And even if you sleep too, I feel like there's different levels of rest.
Yeah, like I need to learn to turn my mind off a little bit. Just slow
Yeah.
it down. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to share, like us, share it with your friends. And if you have any upcoming suggestions for episodes, we can be reached on our Instagram. Everything is linked below. Feel free to give us a shout on Instagram, add us. And yeah, we look forward to the next episode.
All right, great guys. See you later.
Bye.